spent a lot of money. I think we spent $500,000 on that first record, maybe more. The budget was just wide open. They gave us anything we wanted. They said, pick the producer you want to do the record.
You guys wanted Dieter to do the album?
We wanted Dieter, but then with Dieter, the thing was that he had been, all that shit was hot right there, like Blackout, and he was just a hot commodity. But Scorpions were the hot commodity,
sure.
and they were really popular. And we loved the sound of the guitars. We loved the whole kind of European thing. It was like, yeah, we got to do it with this cat.
When you go over to Germany, what's that experience like? You're there for like 3 months or something, right? Recording the record. I know you're in the studio. What are typical days, like 12-hour days, or?
We had a house that we were staying in there. It was in the same little town as the studio. You'd walk to the studio, get to the studio, eat breakfast. I don't know how the hell we did that. They had this Dierks' mom made all the meals. They were just unreal, and they were huge. I mean, you get there in the morning, you're like, what the fuck, is it dinner time or something? She cooked those 3 squares a day. She was an old, sweet old lady, and then you'd go to work. The first thing we did was just drums, doing all the bed tracks and getting all the drums up and running, and I had my drums shipped over there. I mean, like I said, they spared no expense, man. Wouldn't it have been easier to bring Dieter over to Los Angeles and to put him up? Maybe not, but they flew 5 guys for 3 months over to Europe with all their gear, paying them. I mean, that's a huge expense. But Dieter wanted to do that in his studio, and that's where we did it. So we'd go out and party every night. We'd go to the bars, party, and meet the girls, bring the girls back. I remember one time we all piled in a car, and got a couple cars. And Dieter and all of us, management and everybody, we drove from Germany to Paris and went to a Scorpion show. They played a place in Paris, a big 30,000-seat arena, and we were backstage just partying with them, and, Dieter there, of course. It was a great time, stayed and drove around Paris, saw Paris, did all that stuff, and back to Germany and keep working on the record. But yeah, we went to Europe, did the record there, and then everybody came back, and it was you were kind of on your own at that point.
Okay.
Which was weird because we had just spent 3 years together in Portland and in Los Angeles, and we were just every day together. I mean, it was like being married. It's really weird. Kind of hard to explain, and I never really thought about it like that until I was just kind of telling the story, but that's kind of something that was missing when I got back. I got back to Hollywood, which is really where the only place I knew where to go. I think what happened was, when I got back to the States, I flew back up to Portland and spent a couple months up there at my parents' place. But I had to come back to Los Angeles, and, so I take a plane and come back down here to Hollywood, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I obviously, I guess I had somebody to stay with, and I can't really remember that part. It was a little scary having to get out of Hollywood. I fell in with some guys that were doing some fucking heavy drugging, and there was a point where you either could stay around and dodge bullets or you could get the fuck out. And I found myself out in the street. Here I am doing this. I got a record deal, just did a record, waiting to go on tour, and I'm fucking standing on Hollywood Boulevard with my suitcases wondering what the fuck's next. I don't even have a car, I don't have anything because I was living in Europe, so it's a little weird, man.
I wanted to make sure I covered the Aerosmith tour because they were still getting wasted at that point, right? It was before.
Oh, boy, were they, yeah.
Before they got sober, right before, wasn't it?
It was right before. It was actually, literally during the tour. I mean, those first 2 Aerosmith are still some of my favorites. So to go out with these guys, and we're playing right out the gate. We're playing arenas to sold-out crowds. We're on the bus, and we're just playing rock star to the 10, partying, getting laid, everything you think it could be. And we're playing with Aerosmith, so to get to meet our childhood heroes was really something. But there was something off kilter, Everybody's really pretty nice, but Steven Tyler was a fucking prick. He was just a fucking asshole. And other guys, Joey Kramer was great to me. All the other guys were super nice.
Joe Perry
was pretty cool. They all had their separate dressing. They didn't even like each other, They all had separate dressing rooms. Nobody talked to each other. You never saw them hanging out. A lot of bands have separate dressing rooms, but this was just evident that none of these guys liked each other. So they were just getting fucked up. I mean, Tyler couldn't remember them. He couldn't remember the songs, let alone figure out how to get to the fucking stage. The 120 by 50-foot stage, you couldn't figure out where that was, with all the lights and sound on it. God knows where that fucking thing went. He would just blow it every night. It was just, some shit would be great, but for the most part, it was just kind of an embarrassment. But, people loved it. But, God, they were fucked up. They were doing everything they to it just to get through. And so we did about 2 months of that, and then Geffen said, this is a joke. This is ridiculous. We're pulling you off. You guys got to go in. I don't know if you're going to rehab, but you're going to detox, right? Fuck it now. So they pulled him off the road. They pulled Les off the road. I don't remember what we did during that downtime. I guarantee you we didn't sit around. So about 2 months later, we resumed, and the guys were they were straight, and they were fucking great. Steven Tyler was like a different guy.
So they all went to like treatment, and it just 2 months later, everybody's sober?
Something like that. I don't know if it was 2 months, maybe 3, 4. I don't know, but they all came back, and they were all super cool. I remember we had, our last night was in Florida. We played at the arena in Florida, and we had a party backstage after the show. And there was there was alcohol, and all us guys, black and blue, we were drinking and smoking, going nuts. And the guys in Aerosmith were, and the party was just us two bands. There was no chicks, there was no dudes, there was just like a few management people and personal managers for each band and the band. And I was just like, where's the fucking chicks? Needless to say, that didn't last too long. But it was kind of a thing that we had to do. If you go to my Facebook page, one of the shots that we took backstage at that very party is the one I'm using for my Facebook page. It shows me and Steven Tyler, and so's Jamie, and I don't know if Joe Perry's in it. I think Tom Hamilton's in it, Brad Whitford. I'm standing there with my arm around Steven Tyler. Him and I talked for hours. He was one of my idols. And here he was a new guy, so I could wipe the slate clean and go, hey, great. And they were really cool at that time. We even played here in Los Angeles at the Greek Theater. And I ran into a guy probably 15 years after we did, maybe longer after that show that we played at the Greek. He realized who I was, and he said, I used to work at the Greek Theater as, a bartender or something. He says, after the show, I took the marquee because I loved Aerosmith and you guys, and I took the marquee from the Greek and stored it in his garage. It says Aerosmith, black and blue, and then it has the big sold out sign through it. And he goes, you want it? I go, fuck yeah, I want it. I collect everything. He gave it to me. Yeah, so I got that in storage, the sign, the Greek Theater.
How cool is that? As far as when they were fucked up, like how was he a dick? Did he say anything to you guys? Or?
Oh yeah, fucking too much eye makeup. And I'm looking at you, you telling us we have too much eye makeup on? Fuck face. Just being a fucking prick. Get the fuck out of here. You fuckers gave me I don't even know, but you knew it was all fucking drugs. He looked like shit. If you even went to punch the fucker, he'd put your fucking hand right through him. He was so frail. Met him several times since then, and he's always real cool to me, because we kind of went through that thing together.
Sure. And he remembers you from back then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to the self-titled album, any kind of moment stand out in that studio experience?
There was a lot of work. It was just a lot of work for me. And, since I was kind of a novice on that level, as we all were, it was a big learning experience, really.
And those are acoustic drums on there, right? Did you use some electronic drums?
No, not at all on that.
I gotta ask about the Hold On to 18, the little break in there. How did you come up with that?
Well, first of all, maybe they did. As it reminds me, I'd have to listen to it again. It does seem like there's electronic drums on that part. I know that I played them acoustically. We might have gone over them and did it, but
I just wanted to know if that was like a part where somebody said, yeah, do that, or how did that part get written in?
I'll tell you how that part got written in. We played the song and I came up with the part. It might have refined itself, but I do not believe that we really spent any time on it any more than I just came up with these parts. I like the little we just thought bam, bam. I thought this is real simple. I got to do nothing. And then I would go from the snare drum across the snare drum to tom to floor, and then reverse it, which would be very simple. And it just kind of, the whole idea was to make it bigger than it really was, and to make it look cool, and to spin the sticks and play it like a fucking man or a monster when you're playing it. Don't play it like a little guy playing a drum part.
Was that kind of done in the live show before you went to do the record, or did that come up in the studio?
Yeah, it was. We were doing that live. It may have varied a little bit. Most of the stuff that we did on the first record and the way that it was really, that's how it was live. We were kind of playing the live show when we recorded the record.
How do you feel, as far as the sound compared to the other records, how do you feel that one turned out?
Haven't listened to that in a long time. I think it did sound very European, if that means anything to you. I don't really listen to the stuff I play. I don't go back and listen to things that I've recorded, so it's kind of hard for me to really be honest with that, but I think that Without Love is probably the one that I enjoy the best because, to me, I just love the sound of that record. I think the songs are really great. I think I played well. I think the band played well. Just the sound of that record. There's something about that. It was such an easy record to make. When we did pre-production here in Los Angeles, Bruce Fairbairn came in, and I think we did about 4 days pre-pro. We'd run through the songs one day and go, okay, let's go. We change a few things, and now there we are, day 4, and we're just like, fuck this, let's go and do this. There's nothing really we need to change. We just need to record this. And, we get up there, and of course, Loverboy's up there at the same studio doing their record. They're doing Lovin' Every Minute of It, which Jamie and Tommy go in and sing on the title track. There was a part in the chorus that kind of went, Lovin' Every Minute of It.
Sure.
That's all Jamie and Tommy, and I just like that record. I like the songs. I like the way the drums sound on it. When you have Jon Bon Jovi coming up and going, that record is the most killer record I ever heard. I'm going to do my next record with that guy because of that.
And he wasn't huge yet. Yeah, it was the one that set him.
10 million copies. 10 million copies. And here we are going, wow, you copied our record, dude. That's the other thing. If you put those two records side by side, you got the same record.
And you're working, it's pretty incredible. Not only working with Bruce, but Bob Rock is an engineer at that point.
Yeah, it was. And, Bruce would go home every night to his wife and family, and we'd all break out the fucking Krell and go to the strip joint with our beer and our blow and fucking go deep.